Nathan Harrison never planned on becoming a hero. As chief engineer aboard the luxury transport Aurora, his biggest concern had been keeping the environmental systems running smoothly for the vessel's prestigious passengers. Now, as warning klaxons blared and the ship plummeted through an unknown atmosphere, survival was all that mattered. Engine core critical. All hands, brace for impact. Captain Lyra's voice crackled over the intercom, her usual composure cracking under strain. Nathan sprinted through the corridors, dodging panicked crew members. The Aurora had been carrying a delegation of prominent alien diplomats and socialites to a summit on Centauri Prime when they'd encountered the anomaly, a swirling vortex of energy that had appeared without warning, swallowing the ship before anyone could react. Engineering to bridge, he shouted into his comm unit. We're losing containment. I need to dash. The ship lurched violently, throwing him against a bulkhead. Through a viewport, he caught glimpses of a planet's surface rushing up to meet them, purple forests and gleaming bodies of water that might have been beautiful under other circumstances. The impact, when it came, was surprisingly gentle. The Aurora's emergency systems kicked in at the last moment, generating a cushioning field that turned what should have been certain death into merely a bone-jarring crash. Nathan picked himself up from the deck, ears ringing. Smoke filled the corridors as he made his way to the main passenger compartment. The Aurora's hull had split open in places, letting in gusts of alien air that smelled faintly of cinnamon. To his relief, most of the emergency pods had deployed successfully, but he could see several were still occupied. Hello. Anyone need help? He called out, forcing open a jammed pod door. Inside, an Etherian diplomat blinked at him with multifaceted eyes, her crystalline skin reflecting emergency lighting in rainbow patterns. I believe my leg is broken, she said softly. I am called Celera. Over the next hour, Nathan helped evacuate the remaining passengers, 20 in all, each from different species and worlds. By some quirk of fate, they were all female, the male delegates having been in a different section that had apparently broken away during the crash. As the group gathered on a ridge overlooking the wreckage, Nathan took stock of their situation. Besides Celera, there was Rhine, a fierce-looking drachnid warrior whose scaled skin shifted colors with her mood, Talia, a graceful Lumini whose bioluminescent patterns pulsed with anxiety, Kira, a synthoid engineer whose metallic features couldn't quite hide her fear, and 16 others, each uniquely beautiful in their own alien way. The distress beacon is operational, Nathan announced, checking his handheld scanner. But he hesitated. But what? Demanded Rhine, her scales flickering red with agitation. We're nowhere near any mapped systems. Whatever that anomaly was, it threw us way off course. Help could be weeks away, if it comes at all. A murmur of dismay ran through the group. Many of these women were used to lives of luxury and privilege. Survival on an alien world would be a harsh adjustment. Then we must help ourselves, declared Kira, her voice carrying the slight metallic resonance common to her kind. I suggest we salvage what we can from the wreck before nightfall. This world's sun appears to be setting. Nathan nodded gratefully. At least someone was thinking practically. Agreed. We'll need shelter, supplies, medical equipment, anything useful. I saw some caves in that cliff face. They might provide protection while we assess our situation. As the group split into teams to begin salvage operations, Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that their crash might not have been entirely accidental. The anomaly had appeared too suddenly, too perfectly positioned. But those were questions for later. Right now, keeping everyone alive took priority. What he didn't realize was that this was just the beginning of an adventure that would change not only his life, but the lives of everyone stranded with him. As Zeta Reticuli's twin suns sank below the horizon, painting the alien sky in shades of green and gold, Nathan Harrison began his transformation from simple engineer to something far more important, a leader, a protector, and perhaps even a catalyst for a new kind of civilization. The first week on the alien world proved challenging as the survivors adapted to their new reality. Nathan found himself constantly amazed by how quickly the group was learning to work together despite their diverse backgrounds. Kira, the synthoid engineer, proved invaluable in helping Nathan salvage technology from the Aurora's wreckage. Her metallic fingers moved with precision as they rewired power cells and jerry-rigged communication equipment. The atmospheric composition is surprisingly compatible with most of our respiratory needs, she reported one morning, analyzing data on a salvaged scanner. Though Talia may need supplemental nutrients for her photosynthetic processes. The Lumini in question was currently helping Celera organize their medical supplies, her bioluminescent patterns creating useful light in the darker recesses of their cave shelter. The Etherean's crystalline leg had begun to heal, though she still moved with careful deliberation. Nathan. Ryan's voice echoed from outside. You need to see this. He found the Drachnid warrior crouched at the edge of the nearby forest, her scales shifted to camouflage patterns. She pointed to tracks in the soil, massive, three-toed impressions that made Nathan's heart skip. We're not alone here, she said grimly. These are fresh. Whatever made them pass through during the night. Nathan studied the tracks carefully. We'll need to set up perimeter defenses. Can you help train some of the others in basic combat awareness? Ryan's scales flickered with approval. Already started. That Centaurian dancer, Venna. She's surprisingly adept with improvised weapons. Back at the camp, Nathan found an argument brewing between Lyra, an aquatic Melusian with iridescent fins, and Jenna, a hybrid Terran Proximan whose green-tinged skin marked her mixed heritage. The water source is communal, Lyra was saying, fins flaring. You can't claim exclusive access just because your quarters are closest. I was merely suggesting a scheduling system, Jenna replied coolly. To avoid congestion during peak times. Nathan stepped between them. Ladies, perhaps we could dash. A piercing scream cut through the air. Everyone froze, then rushed toward the sound. They found Talia backed against a rock face, her bioluminescence flashing in panic patterns. Hovering before her was a creature that resembled a cross between an earth jellyfish and a sunset cloud, its translucent tissues rippling with internal light. Don't move, Nathan said softly, reaching for a makeshift stun baton. But before he could act, Talia's light patterns shifted subtly. The creature responded, its own tissues pulsing in harmony. To everyone's amazement, they appeared to be communicating. It's beautiful, Talia whispered. Not hostile at all. Just curious about another light being. The incident marked a turning point in their understanding of their new home. The planet wasn't just a place to survive until rescue, it was a complex ecosystem they needed to learn to coexist with. Over the next few days, Nathan noticed other changes in the group dynamics. Celera began teaching others about crystal harmonics, which helped them detect approaching wildlife. Kira and Venna collaborated on an early warning system using salvaged motion sensors. Even the proudest among them, like Zara, a former Plutonian ambassador whose silver skin literally reflected her moods, started contributing to manual labor without complaint. One evening, as they gathered around their power core for warmth, Lyra asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. What if rescue never comes? A heavy silence fell over the group. Nathan looked at each face in turn, some frightened, others determined, all waiting for his response. Then we build something here, he said finally. We've already proven we can work together. We have skills, intelligence, and now we're gaining knowledge of this world. Maybe we crashed here by chance, or maybe something brought us here deliberately. Either way, we survive. We adapt. We thrive. Kira's metallic features shifted in what Nathan had learned was her version of a smile. We've already begun, she said. Look at what we've accomplished in just a week. And we have barely explored beyond this valley, added Ryan. Who knows what resources we might find? As the discussion continued, Nathan noticed Celera watching him thoughtfully, her crystalline features refracting the power core's light. Later, as the others retired to their quarters, she approached him. "You've united us," she said simply. "Given us purpose beyond mere survival. That is no small thing." Nathan shrugged uncomfortably. "We're all doing our part. Perhaps. But leadership requires more than just competence. It requires vision." She touched his arm lightly, her crystal skin cool against his. "Rest, Nathan. Tomorrow brings new challenges." As he settled into his makeshift bed that night, Nathan reflected on how much had changed in just a week. They were no longer just crash survivors, they were becoming a community. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a thought began to form: what if this wasn't just an accident of fate? What if they were meant to be here, meant to build something entirely new? The twin moons cast their purple light through the cave entrance, and Nathan Harrison drifted off to sleep, dreaming of possibilities he'd never before imagined. Dawn broke over the alien landscape as Nathan led a small expedition into unexplored territory. 2 weeks had passed since the crash, and their need for resources was growing. Kira walked beside him, her metallic form processing environmental data, while Ryan scouted ahead, her scales blending perfectly with the purple vegetation. "Energy readings are increasing," Kira announced, her sensors humming. "There's something artificial nearby." They crested a hill and stopped short. Below them stretched ruins of breathtaking scope, crystalline spires half buried in earth, geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with latent power. "By the stars," breathed Celera, who had insisted on joining them despite her still healing leg. "This architecture, it resembles ancient Etherean designs, but far more advanced." "We should go back," Venna said nervously, her dancer's grace evident even in her anxiety. "My people have stories about ruins like these. They never end well." But Nathan had already spotted something crucial: power signatures. "Look there," he pointed to a partially exposed panel. "That could solve our energy problems." They descended carefully into the ruins, Ryan taking point with a salvaged plasma rifle. The air grew thick with an electric charge that made their skin tingle. Kira interfaced with a console, her metallic fingers spreading across its surface. "This facility, it's some kind of research station. But the data is corrupted. I'm detecting warnings, but I can't decode dash." A low rumble interrupted her. The ground trembled beneath their feet. "Everyone out!" Nathan shouted, but it was too late. Ancient machinery hummed to life around them, and something emerged from the shadows, a security drone, its crystalline surface crackling with energy. Intruder protocol activated, it announced in a language they somehow all understood. Containment procedures initiated. Ryan's rifle blasts bounced harmlessly off the drone's shields. Kira tried to interface with its systems but was violently rebuffed. They retreated through the ruins, the drone in relentless pursuit. "This way!" Celera called, her crystalline body resonating with the structures around them. She led them down a corridor that seemed to shift and change as they ran. The drone followed, its weapons charging. Nathan noticed patterns in its attack sequence, a rhythm, almost like Celera. "Can you match its resonance frequency?" The Etherean understood immediately. She pressed her hands against the wall and began to hum, her crystalline body vibrating in harmony with the ruins. The drone faltered, its systems conflicting with the resonant frequency. "Kira, now!" Nathan yelled. The synthoid launched herself at the confused drone, her metallic fingers finding purchase in its systems. For a moment, both machines locked in silent combat, then the drone collapsed, inert. They didn't celebrate immediately. Nathan organized a quick retreat back to their camp, carrying salvage from the drone and data crystals Kira had managed to download. Only when they were safely back did the implications of their discovery sink in. "An advanced civilization once lived here," Celera explained to the gathered survivors. "Their technology, it's beyond anything I've seen. Even my people's most ancient records don't speak of such capabilities. But where are they now? Lyra asked, her fins rippling with concern. Gone, Kira said simply, processing the recovered data. According to these fragments, they faced some kind of crisis. They built this facility as a safeguard. The data is unclear. That night, as the others slept, Nathan found Talia standing outside, her bioluminescence dimmed to match the starlight. The light creatures are agitated, she said softly. They sense something changing. The ruins weren't meant to be awakened. Do you think we should leave them alone? She turned to him, patterns shifting across her skin. I don't think we can. Whatever brought us here. I believe it's connected to those ruins. We're part of something larger now. A scream shattered the night's quiet, but this time it came from within the camp. They rushed to find Zara convulsing, her silver skin flickering wildly. Next to her lay a small crystal she'd taken from the ruins, pulsing with an inner light. Get back. Nathan ordered, recognizing the energy signature. But as he reached for the crystal, something extraordinary happened. Zara's convulsions stopped, and her silver skin began to display complex patterns similar to the ruins' architecture. I can see, she whispered. They left messages. Warnings. The planet, it's not just a world. It's a vault. A repository. And we've just triggered its awakening protocol. The implications of her words hung heavy in the air. Their crash hadn't been an accident, they'd been chosen, brought here for a purpose they were only beginning to understand. As the twin moons rose over their camp, Nathan Harrison realized their struggle for survival had just become something far more complex. They weren't just castaways anymore, they were inheritors of an ancient legacy, for better or worse. And somewhere in the ruins below, ancient machinery continued to hum, counting down to something that would change their lives forever. A month after discovering the ruins, the colony's dynamics had shifted dramatically. Zara's connection to the ancient technology had deepened, her silver skin constantly rippling with decoded information. But the knowledge came at a price. She grew increasingly isolated, spending hours in meditation near the crystal fragments. We can't ignore what's happening to her, Nathan argued during a council meeting in their expanded cave dwelling. These ruins are changing her. Changing all of us, Kira corrected, her metallic features reflecting the firelight. My systems have been evolving since interfacing with their technology. I'm processing data in ways that shouldn't be possible. Rhine paced restlessly, her scales shifting between combat patterns. What concerns me are the increasing security drone sightings. They're becoming more aggressive, probing our defenses. The warrior spoke truth. 3 days ago, they'd lost access to their primary water source when drones established a perimeter around it. The previous night, 2 more had attempted to breach their camp. Perhaps, Celera suggested, her crystalline form humming softly, we should consider relocating. There are other valleys. No. Zara's voice cut through the discussion. She stood in the cave entrance, her silver skin displaying complex equations. We must stay. The awakening is almost complete. And what exactly is awakening? Nathan demanded, frustration evident. You keep talking in riddles, Zara. We need straight answers. Before she could respond, Talia burst in, her bioluminescence flashing urgent patterns. The light creatures are fleeing. Something's coming, something big. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Through the cave mouth, they watched in horror as the purple forest canopy parted, revealing a massive form rising from the ruins. It looked like a tower at first, until they realized it was moving, unfolding, awakening. By all that shines, whispered Lyra, her fins trembling. What is that? A guardian, Zara replied, her skin pulsing in sync with the monolithic entity. The ruins weren't just a vault, they were a cocoon. And now it's hatching. The being towered over the landscape, its crystalline surface reflecting the twin suns. Smaller forms, hundreds of security drones, swarmed around it like insects attending a queen. Nathan made a quick decision. Everyone inside. Rhine, defensive positions. Kira, see if you can dash. Wait. Zara grabbed his arm. It's not hostile. It's scanning us. Judging us. Indeed, the Guardian had stopped moving, its massive form oriented toward their camp. A beam of light swept over them, and Nathan felt a presence brush against his mind. You have awakened us. The words appeared in their thoughts, accompanied by a cascade of images. You have demonstrated compatibility, resilience, adaptation. You are unexpected. What do you want from us? Nathan projected the thought clearly. We were left to guard. To wait. To find those worthy of the legacy. You are not what was predicted, but you are suitable. Confusion rippled through the group. Celera stepped forward, her crystalline form resonating with the Guardian's energy. What legacy? The answer came in a flood of information so vast it staggered them. The ruins' creators hadn't died out, they had evolved, transcended physical form. But they'd left behind tools, knowledge, power for those who might follow. They'd created the anomaly that had brought down the aurora, testing countless species over millennia. And we passed? Nathan asked incredulously. You have begun to, the Guardian corrected. Your transformation is incomplete. Observe. It directed their attention to subtle changes they'd overlooked. How Kira's metallic form had begun incorporating crystalline elements. How Talia's bioluminescence now carried data patterns. How Rhine's scales could shift into impossible configurations. The technology isn't just changing Zara, Kira realized. It's changing all of us. Adapting us. Making us into something new, Nathan added, finally understanding. Something that combines all our species' strengths. But the choice remains yours, the Guardian communicated. Accept the transformation, become guardians yourselves, or leave, return to your old lives. We will provide the means for either path. Nathan looked at his companions, no longer just crash survivors but potential inheritors of an ancient legacy. Each face showed the weight of the decision before them. We need time, he said finally. To discuss, to understand. Time is granted. But know this, the process, once begun, cannot be halted indefinitely. Choose wisely. As the Guardian withdrew, leaving them to their deliberations, Nathan realized their greatest challenge lay ahead. Not survival, not adaptation, but deciding whether to remain human, or become something entirely new. 3 days after the Guardian's revelation, tension in the colony had reached a breaking point. The survivors had split into factions, those embracing the transformation and those fearing it. Nathan found himself mediating increasingly heated debates. Look at what's happening to us, Venna argued, demonstrating how her once normal movements now defied physics in subtle ways. We're losing our original selves. We're becoming more, countered Kira, her form now a stunning fusion of metal and crystal. The knowledge I can access, the things I can understand now. Outside their cave sanctuary, the Guardian waited patiently, its massive form casting long shadows in the twin sun's light. Smaller changes continued throughout the colony. Lyra's fins now manipulated energy as well as water, while Talia's bioluminescent patterns could alter the physical world around her. Nathan sat alone at the ruin's edge, wrestling with his own transformation. His engineering intuition had evolved into something deeper, an almost mystical understanding of technology that both thrilled and terrified him. Having doubts? Celera approached, her crystalline form now containing swirling galaxies of light. Not doubts exactly, Nathan replied. More like, questions. Are we really worthy of this? Should we have this much power? Perhaps that questioning is exactly what makes us worthy, she suggested, sitting beside him. The original Guardians left this legacy not to perfect beings, but to those with the potential to grow, to learn, to question. A commotion from the camp drew their attention. Rhine and several others were gathering, looking urgent. "Something's happening," the Drachnid warrior reported as they hurried back. "The planet's core, it's shifting." Kira confirmed the readings with her enhanced sensors. "The Guardian's awakening has triggered a planetary transformation. This world, it's not just a vault. It's a seed." "A seed for what?" Nathan asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "A new civilization," Zara answered, her silver skin displaying complex star maps. "The legacy isn't just knowledge or power, it's a chance to build something that's never existed before. A fusion of all our peoples, our strengths, our perspectives." The ground trembled as ancient machinery, dormant for millennia, began to activate. Across the valley, crystalline structures emerged from the earth, forming the foundation of what could become a magnificent city. "All is prepared," the Guardians' thoughts touched their minds. "Your choice must now be made." Nathan looked at his companions, not just survivors anymore, but pioneers on the brink of an evolutionary leap. He saw fear in some faces, excitement in others, and in all of them, the weight of destiny. "We don't all have to choose the same path," he realized aloud. "Those who wish to return to their old lives can do so. Those who wish to stay, to become something new. We'll build the future together," Celera finished, taking his hand. One by one, they made their choices. Most chose to stay, drawn by the possibility of creating something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. A few opted to return, carrying warning and wonder back to their respective worlds. As the transformation completed, Nathan felt his consciousness expand, connecting with the others who had chosen to remain. They were still themselves, but also part of something greater, a new form of life that honored its origins while transcending them. The Guardians' final gift was understanding, of their purpose, their potential, their responsibility. They would be custodians not just of knowledge and power, but of possibility itself, showing the galaxy that evolution didn't end with physical form. Years later, ships would discover their world, finding not the wreckage of a crashed luxury liner, but a thriving civilization unlike any seen before. They would meet beings who were neither human nor alien but something gloriously new, led by one who still called himself Nathan Harrison, though he had become so much more. And in quiet moments, watching new generations inherit their legacy, Nathan would remember that fateful crash and smile, knowing that sometimes the greatest adventures begin with what seems like disaster. The twin suns set on their transformed world, their light refracting through crystalline spires that housed hopes and dreams yet to be born. They had not just survived, they had transcended, becoming living proof that the universe's greatest miracles often arise from its deepest challenges. It wasn't the end they had expected when their ship fell from the sky. It was something far better, a beginning.